Ngayon po, ang makakasama natin this morning ay walang iba dahil last week nandito. Hindi, 2 weeks ago nandito kayo dahil si Zaka nandito.
Yeah.
Si Dr. Lolita Serrano. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Doc. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, maganda pag-uusapan natin ulit kasi hindi masyado natin na-tackle, no? Ng napakadami pa kasi dapat nating itanong kay Doktora. Anyway, Doc, ang first question ko po, what are the indicators of giftedness?
Okay, there are so many indicators, no one of which is, of course, they have advanced enlarged language vocabulary. And based on research, even as young as infants, there is already this manifestation. They proceed through the developmental milestones up to 30% advanced compared to other children. Meaning, they advance in their gross motor, fine motor, the psychomotor stuff that we are talking about, and of course, the language skills, no? And they, of course, very visible. They love to read books, no? They can easily grasp things in just one sitting. They do understand everything.
So, you were talking about gross motor skills, like meaning, kunyari, catching a ball, ganyan, at an early age, kaya
yes,
na nila.
not only that, maybe at infant, during the infant stage, the crawling, and some
Crawling maaga.
The crawling maaga, mas advanced compared to the developmental
Ilang buwan?
milestones. Crawling usually starts around 6 months, di ba? It can be earlier than 6.
Wow.
And some parents, some of my clients, would tell me that at the age of 3, their child could ask for milk. It was really surprising.
Age of 3?
Months.
3 months?
3 months. It's really amazing. It's really amazing.
3 months.
3 months.
And this is verbal. Hindi
Verbal.
to, hindi to sign language.
Yeah, no. It's a verbal.
Paano?
Wow.
Milk?
Milk.
Mama.
Milk.
Mami,
Amazing,
milk.
no?
Milk. And mahirap mag-pronounce ang LK.
The LK,
yes.
that's true. No, the manipulation of tongue is quite different compared to bilingual.
What is the prevalence of gifted children here in the Philippines?
Here in the Philippines, actually, if you're going to research on that, we have something like 2.5. We're talking of the school-age population, no? But of course, there are other gifted children out there in the rural areas that have not been identified. We know that, no? So who are those who have been identified? Of course, those who are, you know that, no, those parents who would like to support,
okay, we know that.
who has the money to, to
go
measure,
to a certain doctor,
to go to the psychologists, no, and professionals to find out the measurement of the IQs of their children. But of course, when we talk about giftedness, we don't only talk about the measurement of IQs, no? Nowadays, when you talk of giftedness and talented children, it encompasses already a lot of special talents, such as not only intellectual, but also creativity and superior performance, actually.
So that's the emotional quotient, the EQ?
Oh, that's another thing. That's
thing.
another area that we should be focusing on, not only on the IQs. Actually, when we talk of giftedness, IQ is only one. And it's just a number.
Okay.
It's just a number.
It's just a number. No? Because
What's a number?
yeah, it's just a number.
It's just a number.
Because there are other domains that we have to check into, no? And yeah, that's one. As I said, it's just a number, meaning there are a lot of things that we have to find out aside from the intellectual capacity of the person. Maybe you mentioned about emotional EQ, emotional quotient, which is I think should be given more focus. No, nowadays, most especially the development of children, not only the
Doc,
the
this is
spatial
just an
ones, but-
observation, ha? Kasi pagka sinabi nilang gifted child, parang lagi na lang ang mga gifted child yung English speaking. Parang wala pa. Bakit wala
Yung
akong
matataas ang grado
Oo,
in a
diba?
certain subject.
Parang
Pero
pagka Pinoy, yung tawag nito, mga Tagalog ng salita, parang hindi masyado, no? Parang pagka, uy, English speaking to, wow, gifted.
Even if the child is not gifted in the real sense, because you cannot
or they just
clearly
sound well naman kasi.
Oh, it's not just because the child speaks English fluently, the child is already gifted. Of course, we have to measure and check a lot of other things, the aptitude, the achievement test and everything, the portfolios and everything. That's why I said IQ is only one sector, and it can be biased. No, it can be
Okay.
biased when you say, "Oh, this is the only sole criterion in determining the IQ of the student." No, because we know for a fact that standardized tests are important. What if the child comes from a socio-economic disadvantage outside and the cultural background of the child, no? We know that for a fact. Now, for example, a standardized test could ask for some nickel quarters. We don't have nickel quarters here in the Philippines because these are standardized. So what's going to happen to the child who's not familiar with all of these things?
Yes.
Like the last time I mentioned about, presented a, for example, a turkey. I said that the last time, and the child would say, oh, it's lechon manok. Or maybe a unicorn.
But
the child would say a horse. Yeah, at least they're somehow related, no? And also those children, also those children who have limited English proficiency. For a fact that standardized tests are written in English. And we don't have one here in the
Philippines.
Philippines.
Yung sinasabi nga ni Ella kanina, kunyari, magaling nga mag-English. It's because of colonial mentality.
Yeah.
No? And yung iba, napakagaling talaga ng Pilipino nila. I mean, they're gifted in that way, no?
Yeah.
But yun, it's
that's
unfair.
true.
And yun na
It's
nga.
not fair. It's
Yung
not biased.
yung mga exams nga, di ba, the tests are, a nickel and a dime, at di ba, magaling ka nga kung ito ay centavo, then malalaman yung sagot. But if it's in that regard, so
and
unfair. There should be a localized
Exactly,
test.
absolutely. And you have to also read between the lines, even if the child can speak English fluently. Is there a depth, a breadth in her vocabulary, the way she explains things, compared to a gifted child? You've seen Zach the last time.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
He
5
is the
years
real,
old, no?
gifted
grabe.
child in the real
Yes.
sense of the word.
Minsan, like kami hosts, no? Pag nag-interview ako, minsan and I think ganito na naman, like if people are yung interview before going to school, no? Going to the big school. Minsan, it's how they answer the question. Hindi kung tama yung sagot o hindi. It's how they answer.
Yes.
They are ready to learn.
Yeah, exactly. Parang sa mga beauty queens, no? It's not the way they... it's
Ito
how they
naman po, what can you
deliver.
say about their educational placement?
Yeah, kadalasan kasi when we talk of children who are gifted, we always think of acceleration. The school would think
Yes.
of a higher placement. But I, for one, I really don't go for it. Most especially like the case of Zach, who is only 5 years old, but maybe performing on the level of grade 6. Don't tell me that you're gonna place this 5-year-old child with a grade 6 student. Oh my
Oo nga
goodness.
naman.
Hindi lang yan, baka mabully.
Yes, that's one. That's one. You could just imagine, integrating a 5-year-old kid with a physically developed child, emotionally developed child.
Plus,
He's still a child.
bigger in size.
A 5-year-old child is still a child. Only with, with an adult minds, but physically, emotionally, he's still a baby.
So,
Iba
ano
kasi
pong
sa atin
dapat?
Pagka ganyan parang, ang weird.
Oo,
Diba?
diba?
Parang
So maybe
ganyan
dapat
yan.
bigyan na lang ng extra
Enrichment.
Enrichment,
Enrichment
But
activities.
the same level ang kanyang klase.
Yes.
Diba? The same classmates, ganyan.
They only, become a child once in their life.
Yes.
Minsan lang sila maging bata, no?
Yes.
So, let them enjoy it, and maybe the educators and parents will just be there to support, similar to what we're doing with Zach, the mothers, really very, very supportive. Now, we don't only focus on books, but, we take the child to museums, experience so many, if there's a financial capacity on the part of the parents, if there's an opportunity for the child to travel, there's a very good exposure for the child. But of course, not everybody can do
afford
that.
that
Can
also.
afford that, no? But those are so many enrichment that we can do. And there's also such thing as what we call curriculum compacting, no? What do we mean by this? For example, a child who is gifted in math, no? He knows already the basic mathematical operation. Maybe he knows playing geometry. That maybe by compacting, we can begin with factual geometry or maybe calculus. But he's still in that level of, rather than putting him in a high school
Mahirap
level.
naman ang calculus. I want to go back, Doktora. I want to go back to what you said earlier. Madami po tayong mga gifted children, maybe dun sa medyo marginalized.
Yes.
No? What can we do about, how do we find out? And is there anything that we can give them that they can avail of for free?
Let me tell you that these gifted children are the most, I would say, neglected, most ignored by our policymakers, and neglected, and they're the most, parang taken for granted. Now, what can we do?
Yes, but first, how
Pwede
you
i-apply
know?
yung mga ganyan, no?
Paano naman natin malalaman na sila ay gifted? Do people go to them and let them take tests?
First and foremost, a lot of parents will claim, oh, my child is gifted. Siguro above average lang yan. But when you say gifted, kailangan pumasok yan sa 130 IQ score to standard deviation from the mean. Meaning, most of us would say, oh, I belong to the average, meaning we have an IQ of 100. No? Pag bumagsak sa 130 yun, doon mo pa lang pwedeng i-claim na intellectually gifted yung bata. So how do we find out? Of course, this child must be identified by professionally qualified person who can say that the child is really performing superior.
So, meaning yung mga magulang kailangan pumunta, they have to go to a certain center and have their children tested.
Yes, and I mentioned about professionally qualified. And who are the examples? Of course, are the licensed psychologists, doctors who really specialize in the field of giftedness and other exceptionalities, who have the tools to say that a child is really gifted. And as I said, not only in the IQ, but also other areas of domains. They have to check on the performance, the portfolios, the interview from the parents, from the teachers, and so many peers. Not only just merely sitting down, because sometimes, as I said, standardized tests can be biased. No?
Yes.
Di ba pwedeng, kunyari gusto kong mag-anak, tapos gusto kong maging gifted yung anak ko.
Pwede
Pero
bang,
pwedeng, kunyari makikinig ako lagi ng music or magbabasa ako lagi or lahat ng mga kakausapin kong tao, puro mga matatalino, yung mga
pwede
ganon.
bumili ng isang ilagay.
Oo, para maging ganon.
Actually, meron na nga mga for sale ngayon ng Mozart, di ba? Yung kay Wolfgang Amadeus. It's been,
Yeah,
there
you
is a
just
study,
listen to that while you're,
it
while you're
helps.
pregnant.
It helps. And of course,
Makinig, bumili ka na ngayon.
not only that, of course, there's so many factors. We also believe in genes, DNA. That's 50%. Even if you bring out the child as gifted, but if there's no nurturance, sorry. I'm sorry. This child
I'm
can
sorry.
be underachiever. That's why, that's one thing that we always say, nature versus nurture. You
Okay,
know?
but I believe,
believe.
dapat talaga when children are growing, you should never say like, ang baba-baba mo kasi.
Ay,
Yan, ang
naku.
bagal-bagal mo kasi.
Label.
No
Oo.
labeling kasi, dadalhin yan
Hanggang
until they get older and older.
Take note as well, actually, may isang advertisement niya na hindi lang people intellectually smart, but people smart because there's also another research. Known na ito, si Dr. Howard Gardner, who believes in multiple intelligences. And according to his theory, everybody has a gift.
I believe so.
Yes!
Kami may gift.
Ano kaya yun?
There are 9 intelligences. Di ba, merong magaling makapagkapwa-tao, interpersonal.
Tayo yun.
Yes.
Tayo yun. Pwede tayo doon.
At tayo rin, sige. Kami na yun,
Interpersonal,
tatlo.
believe tayo sa sarili natin.
Over.
Sobra.
Over.
Tayo rin yun.
Okay.
Magaling kumanta, no?
Siya na yun, yeah.
Bodily kinesthetic, magaling sumayaw.
Kaya namin yun.
Kami din yun.
Alright, linguistic.
Ikaw yun.
Hindi. Si Jenny yun.
Si Jenny, oo. Magaling mo.
Alright.
Ay, ikaw, magaling. Maganda. Ayan, magaling po siya.
Visual spatial, ito yung mga who are global thinkers who can see the whole picture and then from there start from. There are 9. Naturalistic,
okay.
you love gardening, you love nature, you love, yan yung mga
So it's
naturalistic.
not only...
The intellectual, the
intellectual.
IQs.
Okay.
That's why we have to be proud. You don't only
We are
have
all
one
gifted.
gift, but more than 1 or 2 or
Yes.
existential, ang dami ng mga driven purpose in life, di ba? Meron lang tayong mga ganun-ganun ngayon.
Thank you.
Tayo
That's
yun.
nice to know, no? And thank you very much. You are a gift to this show, Rise and Shine. Thank you very much,
Thank you so much, Doctora.
Yes,
You're most
Daldita.
welcome. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay with us because up next is Rogelyn Azul for our R&S Search for Talent only here on Rise and Shine!
Thank you.